Hello and welcome. I had a request that I should continue creating tutorials about FL Studio, and here's a getting started with FL Studio 12 and creating a simple beat. Okay, here we are in FL Studio 12 and I enabled this metronome. Metronome can be very helpful when creating beats. You can use different sounds. I prefer the hi-hat for the metronome. And now let's come to the so-called channel rack. Think of this as a kind of, as a rack of different sounds or instruments that we can use to define, in this case, our beat. Okay, I delete the last one so that we have a kick. This is a bass drum, a clap, which sounds a bit like a snare, and a closed hi-hat. And we use these three sounds to create a beat. Okay, what you hear now is the metronome and just this one simple kick. Very boring, so let's add a clap to make this a little bit more interesting. Add the clap here to this step. Okay, yeah, more interesting, but there is still room for improvement. Yeah. Okay, now let's enlarge this and find a good pattern, a good rhythm to create this beat. Yeah, I think this sounds decent. You can also add one to the end, one kick to have a variation here, but we will do this later on. Now let's add a hi-hat to every second step. Yeah, not bad. But let's replace these sounds with some better ones, and we will find this here in the browser on the left side and switch to the packs, and let's find a good kick, a punchy kick here in the kicks folder. Yeah, that's cool, but not for this beat. Yeah, this is very punchy kick, and you just drag it here into the channel rack and replace the kick, the existing kick, with this one. And the same I want to do for the hi-hats. So search for a hat that is closed. When the name ends of CH, then this stands for closed hi-hat. Yeah, this sounds cool. That's a nice beat. So here you have it, your first beat in about 2 minutes. But we want to add some variations. So let's come to the playlist and left click, and then you can add this pattern here to your playlist. And this is how you compose your songs, okay? You just define a pattern, like I do this here, and then I click here in the piano roll and add this pattern. But to add a new pattern, you can just define an empty one. But we want to create a variation of the first one. So let's just add again the existing pattern to this playlist. This pattern one, left click, and then you click this little icon here and choose make unique, and then you created a second pattern, pattern 2, which is completely the same as pattern 1, but when you change it now, then it doesn't affect the first pattern, only the second one. For example, we add here to the second pattern this ending kick. And here you have your first variation. Okay, but I want to add variations to this hi-hat, and therefore we will open up the piano roll. Select this icon here, and then you change from sequencer display to the piano roll display, and click this here, and you can choose which sound you want to see here in the piano roll. And I want to see my hi-hat. Here you can see the clap. These are the notes for the kick. And when you play it, you see this timeline just for this pattern you selected. Okay, cool, but what I want to do is to create some in-between steps, and so I open up this snapping and select a quarter step. Then I add one step here and enlarge this. Then I press Ctrl U, and it will be split up into quarter steps. And now listen to this. Nice. Okay, but I think I will delete every second step. Let's just try this. You can delete with the right mouse button. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's my beat. I will keep it like that. So let's close the piano roll, and now we have two patterns. Let's create a third pattern, again by pressing Make Unique, and add a variation to the snare. That's the same way. I switch to piano roll display, and then open up the piano roll and change it. Oh. That's too much. Let's change the beat. Okay, and press Ctrl U. Yeah, better. It's still too much. Selecting notes with the piano roll can be done by holding the Ctrl key on your keyboard and dragging a rectangle around the notes with the left mouse button that you want to select. And then you can split it up again by pressing Ctrl U, like I do it here for this last note. Okay, I'll leave this beat as is, and then we go back to the playlist and rearrange the patterns. So after the first pattern, there should be the second one. So just delete this. This is the third pattern. Change here to the second pattern and insert it. Delete, by the way, can also be done with the right mouse button in the playlist. Okay, now let's move the third pattern to the right. And now let's duplicate the first pattern. This can be done by holding the Shift key and then drag it to the right, and you duplicated this. Okay, now we have pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 1, pattern 3. Okay, nice. The last thing I want to add is a cymbal. So we have many of them in the browser. Let's use this one and drag it to the channel rack. Okay. Then create a new pattern for this with just this cymbal activated and add one note to this and then add the pattern to the playlist. Yeah, that's nice. I really hope you liked this tutorial, guys, and this beat. Please subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching. And I really hope to see you soon here on JNM.